This is a continuation of Saturday, March 7, 2026. I just ignored him. I have to ignore this guy. He's not good for my well-being. And at this point, he's been here for about, I just now started recording it, but he's been here for about, he finally left. Okay, good, I just saw him pull away, but he's been here for about 30 minutes or 25 minutes, and I've been ignoring him. Then he came around and knocked on the door. He went through that porch thing and knocked on my back door, and I tried to, because he could probably see me sitting in here, so I had to move away so that he couldn't. So he's been saying all this stuff like, I brought you some food, and let's go for a walk. And I just don't, like I said, there comes a point you have to just completely not let them back in, and that's what I'm doing, because I already know, my intuition knows what's going on. My instincts are correct, and the way this man, he's so frantic and desperate all of a sudden because I figured out what he was up to and all that. So basically this is all a game, so I'm just not responding. That's the only thing I can do right now, is not respond to his doing this, because that's the only way he's gonna finally, when you just ignore them, they'll eventually disappear. They'll eventually just stop doing everything and find someone else or go back to somebody else. But that's the only way, because there's nothing else I can do. I've made it clear to him that I'm not an object to be exploited. I'm not his girlfriend. I'm not, I'm not gonna partake in his abusive, manipulative, coercive abuse anymore, because I don't need that in my life. I don't need somebody to bully me around and try to control me and gaslight like he's been doing for the past 3 years, and basically lying to me about so many things. So no, there comes a time where you just lose it. Like you just lose interest. You just lose it. I don't have feelings for him anymore. I don't have any feelings of love or anything at all. It's like I feel like a blank void now. And I'll just let it be at that. Like, the memory is there and that's it. But now it's just like a void. I don't feel anything. I don't feel any connection to him anymore. I don't feel any kind of love, for sure, because that was, I just don't. It's gone. Especially once you have caught them cheating and lying and all that. No, it's gone. It's not there. And you can't force something to be there when it's not. When somebody, if he really respected me, he never would have done what he did. Okay? So he's using me now as an option, because that's what they do, and I know this, and it's common sense that when a person really values you and respects you, they don't do what this person has done to me. They don't do that. They don't laugh at you and mock you and exploit you and do things like that and keep all these secrets from you. They don't do that. A normal person doesn't do that. But a person who's a narcissistic type individual who hides a lot of secrets and has a lot of control issues is going to do those kinds of things. And so, yes, I'm talking about it because I guess it's time to make a video anyway about this kind of stuff, because I think now, I was trying to let myself believe that there was really something there, and that maybe I need to keep giving this man a chance, and that, maybe he really does care and that he's being genuine. But no, my intuition kicked in again, instincts, and told me that I'd be a real fool to keep on allowing that and keep on allowing myself to get re-traumatized by his games and his controlling, abusive ways. Because once you have when you continuously have called them out for their bullshit, okay, then they get mad. Then the hoovering is no longer just hoover. It's a form of them trying to get revenge. Okay, it's not anything like, they'll say things like, I care about you, I'm checking in on you, I want to, but really what they're trying to do, you may as well think the opposite of what they're doing. What he's panicking about, and I'm talking about this Valdez man, Mr. Valdez here, and it's Saturday, March 7th, 2026. What he's doing, what this is an example of, is when a narcissistic person feels that they have lost control over a situation or a person or an opportunity, then they act out in a way of which is very like that, desperate attempts to try to come back to a person and hoovering, because they're desperate. They're desperate for supply. He's desperate for attention. He's desperate for somebody to regulate his emotions, and he's desperate for my attention and my something. But really, when it comes to these kinds of transactions, it's that he wants something. That he's coming here again because he wants something from me. He wants something that he has been accustomed to getting from me, which is something that I no longer am going to provide this man or anybody. Because right now I'm working on myself, I'm healing, and I don't want to give myself away or do that with anybody, because they don't deserve that. I don't want anybody boundaries. I've set my boundaries, and my boundaries are very, very clear to me. I've made my rules now, and I'm not going to let people come in and try to disrupt me, distract me, and violate my path, what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to work on, what I'm trying to learn, or maybe something that I'm doing for myself. Because what they do, because when it comes to narcissists, right, they don't want you to do anything for yourself. If you have anything that you do for yourself, they don't like that. It's got to be about them. It's got to be about you focusing on them. No, I have my own life. This man completely was living a double life, lying to me, not keeping secrets from me, treating me like I was just a dirty secret in his closet, right? Because he's got his uppity friends, his high class, whatever the people he hangs out with, where he gets all dressed up and goes to these expensive nightclubs and drinks and dances, whatever, because he loves to party, and do all that stuff. And I was always excluded. Never once did he ever invite me to any of those places. Never once have I met any of his friends, ever. And it's only about less than a few weeks ago that I even saw his house for the first time on the inside, because he would never even allow me into his home after him being in my house for that long, and in my, invading my, basically like touching everything I own and using my, it's very mean. It shows that they never really care. Whenever they say that right there demonstrates to me that he never valued me. And if you're a person who is letting somebody, if you've been with a person for even a year or more than a year, and I'd say if you've been with somebody for at least a year and they still have not introduced you to anybody in their family, they have not ever introduced you to any of their friends, if they have any, and they don't take you out in public, they don't want to go out on a date with you, but they want to come to your house all the time, and they insist on coming to your home and being in your space and getting information about you. It's very strategic what they're doing. It's a strategic type form of information gathering. And this was hard for me to understand, because I was in denial about this myself. I was trying to play, or not play, I was trying to convince myself that this whole thing was real, that this relationship was real, that this man truly had my best interests at heart, right? I was deceived in believing for a while that he really did care because he put on a fucking act, a show. But that's exactly what it was. It was an act, it was fake, it was not genuine. He never listened when I talked because he never cared to ask me questions about anything about me, about what never asked me anything. It was just about coming into my house, sitting at my table, by the way, getting a chair, sitting at my table where I do all my work, where I put on my makeup, whatever, my table, my space. And then he would just watch me and try to fondle me. Never asking me questions, it was all just about touchy-feely, never listening to anything that I said, never having a real conversation hardly. Because it was always about him getting something that he wanted, which was always something physical. And it was very difficult to have a conversation with him because it would revolve around him wanting to go into my bedroom or, me trying to take just very disrespectful, if you get the idea, but very childish, very disrespectful to do that to somebody, I guess, because what do these people do? And he knew this, he would do this when I'd be exhausted after driving a lot or going to the gym, doing an intensive workout and then driving all the way back, and then knowing that I was physically exhausted and knowing that I probably had adrenaline or cortisol levels that were spiked. So this is when they do this, is when they know, because these people are very strategic and predatory and narcissistic people when they have an addiction to sex or, those types of individuals that are all about that intimate or sex, that's what they basically revolve everything around is a whole that. And it's like, they're very pushy. They can be very aggressive, very demanding, and very much act out when they don't get their way. When you tell them no, then they act out and they can get aggressive. But what they're going to do, and this is what they'll do 9 out of 10 times, is when you tell them no, and that you don't want to do anything, that you want to be alone, you don't want to. They'll go find someone else. Trust me. That you could be, this could be your husband, this could be your boyfriend, this could be whatever. These people can't, because their addiction is such that they can't handle, most of them, unless they are able to get in touch with what's really going on with their inner child or their whatever. They're going to keep on going from one relationship, monkey branching from one person to the next, because they need that fulfillment of satisfaction that's something very temporary, which is what they get from something intimate, right? So it's very temporary and it's very impulsive because they need that fix. It's like a fix. And when they don't get that, it's a junkie, it's a druggie, it may as well be a junkie trying to go out and get a fix on heroin or something that drug addicts do or whatever. You can equate the same thing to a somatic or sexual narcissist. When they don't get what they want when it comes to that, they're going to go find it from a prostitute. They're going to go to do whatever they have to do to get what they need. And that's why these people often are on what they call the down low. In some of these, I guess that's in the Black African American community, they call men who are secretly with other men, but they don't call themselves bisexual. Or that basically, or I think what it's called DSM. Some kind of something. DSM is a terminology for this kind of behavior of a man who is, to the public, he portrays himself as being heterosexual straight, okay? But after being around him, is his girlfriend or whatever, his friend with benefits or wife, whatever, there's something weird, that there's something about this man that is just like clearly that they are doing something behind your back, or that they have a double life or secrets, right? And that's called that kind of behavior is called dia. And I just learned about this the other day from researching. I was like, what in the world how do you describe this when a person, they're closeted gay or bisexual, but they lie to you about it, and it's like they try to keep it a secret? Because what I found out is that those people call themselves DSM. They don't call themselves bisexuals, and they don't call themselves gay, but it's something called DSM, where it's a very small group, a category of individuals who are like bisexual or whatever. But it's not. It's very strange, because also what I found out is that these people they can be very promiscuous. They engage in a lot of, impulsive behaviors when it comes to sex type things. And they usually, a lot of the times they're in denial about, like, they won't go get they have a lot of shame. They have a lot of shame about it, because the secret that they're harboring, because they don't want people to know what's going on. So they keep that as a secret. And so these types of people usually are not the types that are going to go get an STD test or keep up with their health. They're going to if they do these kinds of things, they might get results about something like an HIV test or some kind of STD that they contract from all their promiscuity. But they also try to keep that a secret a lot of the times, and they have a very high prevalence of HIV infections in that category of what is called DSM. And I'm talking about males here. It's DSM. If you look that up, I forget exactly the acronym, but it's called DSM. And that's a category of men who are closeted / bisexuals, yet who portray themselves as heterosexual men. But there's a high percentage of HIV positive men in that category, as a matter of fact, or supposedly. So I don't know. Like I said, I have my suspicions about people and about this man, just because of his behavior and the patterns that he's demonstrated to me and the way he behaves. And every time I've asked him something like, are you bisexual, or have you been with a man, or what is it? And his body language, he gets really nervous. He starts kind of twitching his fingers, and he looks away. He can't make eye contact with me when I ask him those questions, what I just said. And so I can sort of pick up from the body language that he is, something's going on with him, that he's like, that he might, that I could be wrong. But I feel that maybe he is definitely somebody who likes men, who's bisexual or closeted. And that's just how I feel. Like I said, I don't know why he keeps on pursuing me, and why, if maybe he does that because he knows that I know, right? Because he knows that I figured this out, and that I know I can see through the mask, and I can see through the lies. And maybe he feels a sense of security or comfort around me, because I've been very open and honest and giving towards him, and very transparent. Whereas these people are the opposite. They have a lot of dark secrets, and it's like, you'll notice that, and it's unfortunate, but this is just true, that these people, when they're in your energy, when they're in your space for too long, or even whatever amount of time, you'll notice that you feel a lot of anxiety. You feel a lot of weird anxiety. You feel a lot of confusion, and you feel a lot of pressure. And it's like a pressure that they're expecting you to just kind of like keep their secret without, like, that. Okay, how I'm trying to explain this is that they know that right? But they're not going to come out and tell you verbatim that, yeah, this is what I'm about, and this is what I do, and this is what I'm going to use you for. Of course, they're not going to verbally, directly tell you these things, but they try to speak. It's like they try to speak to you in a coded language, almost like some kind of a coded body language, or language with using their eyes, almost like they don't even have to use words, but you can pick up on the if you're intuitive on people and pick up on people's vibrations and their intentions and their feelings and whatnot, you'll pick up on that without them having to verbally say anything, without them having to verbally confess, or you get the idea what I'm trying to say. They don't have to, because it's going to come out in the body language. It's going to come out in the eyes when you look at them. And so it's very strange, because it's like a bond is formed. They want to keep you attached to them, yet you know that it's fake and that it's not genuine, because they just see you as an open door. Like, oh, well, things go wrong with this such and such relationship with whoever, and I'm feeling a little bit down today, and I need a pick me up. I need somebody to elevate me. So they'll come back to you, because you're somebody who's a supply. Maybe you're now a tertiary supply, because they've always got various people from their harem garage or their shelf that they just rotate around or pick up and throw back on the shelf. So whenever you know what's going on, and you'll know because you'll pick up on these feelings, listen to your instincts. Listen to your intuition is not going to lie to you. Your instincts don't lie to you. And I had to battle with that myself. But why? Your intuition is almost always correct when you get these feelings about people that you've been around, that have been in your space, that you watch and you observe their behavior patterns. And you need to listen to protect yourself, or for me to protect myself, I have to listen to my heart, to my mind, and my intuitions, and not let my emotions take control. Because whenever these people, because it's all about them wanting you to react emotionally, right? When they feel that they can get you to react to their abuse, their psychological, coercive, manipulative abuse, when they feel that they have a stronghold on you, where they can get you to react emotionally by acting out and fighting and causing drama and screaming, or maybe physically fighting, which is what some people resort to, then that gives them that they like that fuel even more than when you don't do anything. They enjoy that because it shows that to them that shows that you care. Right? To them, as sick as this sounds, as twisted as that sounds, it's showing them that, oh, well, this person cares because they're getting so upset, and that must mean that they love me, or that they care about me, that they want to be with me, that I'm desirable, that I must be, somebody who, that this is what their mindset thinks like, because they don't care what kind of fuel you're giving them. It could be you screaming at the top of your lungs and telling them to get the fuck out of your house and don't ever come back, and you're calling the police and get away. That's fuel. That they like that even more than you just not doing anything, or just, if you just react to them in a way that's very neutral and very gray rock, boring, uninteresting, sort of like, oh, nice weather today. What color shoes are you wearing? What kind of cologne is that? Just completely change the subject, right? Really, that throws them off. If you completely throw them off subject and just start talking about something completely random, that confuses them as well, because they're so used to people adoring them and getting what they want from women. Like this man, he's so used to getting what he wants from women, okay? Getting his way by manipulating women because of the way he'll start dressing, the way he looks, the charm, the charm, the love bombing that they'll do, these kind of psychopathic type, sociopath behavior patterns that they exhibit, narcissistic men, or especially somatic narcissists, is they'll love bomb their women or victims or whoever, and they will make you feel special. They will try to make you feel like you're very important, like you're very valuable, like you're very special. But then that's part of the love bomb phase, or whatever. But then eventually, very soon within that relationship or situation, you will start to see how whenever they don't get their way, whenever you don't look perfect, right? Whenever you show any sorts of human error or flaws as a human being, anything that's not perfect, they will start to pick on that and start dissecting those things in front of you in ways that are very mean and calculated, very strategic and manipulative, so that you are forced to have to think that what's wrong with me, or you start doubting your perceptions and gaslighting yourself. You start asking yourself, what did I do wrong? What's wrong with me? I thought I did. They want you to feel inadequate. They want you to feel what they feel, which is usually very much like inadequate people. They have a lot of animosity and hurt people often hurt other people. This is just what happens, is that people who are very hurt and rejected or betrayed often go around doing the same thing to other people without even realizing it sometimes. But they will often intentionally inflict emotional trauma and harm onto others simply because of what they've endured throughout their life, or throughout the whatever. It could be their entire life. It could be the past few months or years. But nonetheless, often that's called projection, when a person is throwing their dirty laundry or their trash to you, and you're the one who's supposed to collect the trash or be the person who's going to accumulate all of their toxicity, because you're like a vessel of which they feel that they can just release all of that toxicity onto you. And some of these people, whenever they're living a double life and doing things that you would never, that I know I would never do personally, because I have integrity and I know who I am as far as my sexual preferences. But when they're doing things, keeping secrets from another person and doing things that are whatever, shady or bizarre, maybe they did it under the influence of drugs or something, whatever, they were not in their right mind, maybe alcohol or drugs got them to do things that they would normally not do with people they don't know very well, in places that they don't, that they're not familiar with. Well, these kinds of behavior patterns are a big, big, big red flag that I was ignoring, knowing all along that this man was like so many red flags just like popping up left and right about his behavior and about how he was treating me and lying to me and manipulating me. But what did I do? What did Lindsay do? What did I do? Being that I was a person who wanted to see the best side in this man, and being somebody who truly did care for him at one point, I truly had feelings for him. My feelings were real. I was trying to be my best. I was trying to do the best I could, and trying to really give this man a chance and really try to understand him and try to get to know him, get to know him as a person, but mostly his mind. I wanted to know, he was always all about intimacy and this and that. I was like, no, Lewis, I want to know you as a person. I want to know your soul. I want to know your mind, your spirit. I don't want to, can we just hold off on that and not rush into that? But they rush. Narcissistic people are always trying to rush in to intimacy because that's all they care. A lot of the times you'll know that that's who they are, because that's all they care about. If a person only cares about intimacy with a person who doesn't even consider, and they don't, for the first 3 years or what, they don't even consider you to be a girlfriend until 3 years. But before that, you're just a friend, someone they care about. Isn't that strange? What does that tell you? What it tells me is that, yeah, okay, but why would they lie and say, oh, you're the only person I'm with, you're the only person I want to be with, but they, at the same time, they don't want to commit to you because they're embarrassed by you, or they don't want you on their Facebook because their friends would see who you are or something. You see, so whenever these kinds of strange red flags are popping up in one of these situations, and you know that the person did that right there tells you, and I was ignoring it, I'm speaking for myself here, that I was just ignoring. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna convince myself that he does really mean what he says, that he does have my best intentions, that he's not just some opportunist looking for something. I'm gonna try to convince myself that this man truly is who he says he is. And I was gaslighting myself, but then I realized that no, after all the lies that I kept catching him in, and all the weird, the subtle clues in my inner voice and spirit telling me that he was lying to me and that I better pay attention to my instincts, that's how you protect yourself. And if you don't, I'm telling you, these relationships, if you continue to let them back in, after discarding or after the discard, after the bad stuff has already happened, after you've exposed them, revealed who they really are behind that mask, that fake facade, and you see who they really are, and they still continue to treat you like an object and like you don't have a mind of your own, or like you're just somebody who they can just come around and abuse when they need something, Get that? When they need something, right? They need you. What do they need you for? Right? Need. That's a key word here, is that they need something from the people. They have so-and-so for such and such need. They have so-and-so for such and such need. And they're going to put their people, whether it be their mother, their father, their sibling, their cousin, their girlfriend at work, or their good friend at work, their dance buddy at the dance club, or their girlfriend at the dance club who they say is just a friend. Everybody's got a category. Everybody's got a position on the shelf of the narcissist. Because not one person alone is not going to be able to fulfill the needs, the unsatiated demands and needs of one of these individuals, because these people are so used to getting exactly what they want when they want it that they go into shock whenever they start to lose their supply, whenever they realize that they're getting older and they're not as desirable as they were when they were 30 years old or 25 or 40 or 45, right? They're getting a little bit up there in age. They're getting a little bit of gray hairs. They might be balding. They might be getting a bit of a beer belly. Okay? They might have a bit of a drinking problem, or maybe they're doing some nose candy on the side, but they want to keep all that under the rug. Right? You're not going to find out. God forbid, are they going to, they're going to act like you're their knight and shine. You could be their savior, but they're not going to, God forbid, are they going to tell you their dirty little secrets, but they're going to tell so-and-so at the dance club everything while they're snorting something in the bathroom, right, with their buddy, and going to some dirty motel or some fancy motel, for that matter, with their other friends from work or whatever, right? But you, the one who's a homebody, the one who's a guard of the palace where they come for their safety, you're not going to know these things. They're not going to tell you that. Why would they want to tell you that? Because that would destroy their entire infrastructure. It would collapse. Their whole facade would come crashing down, because they have to have a landing base. They have to have a safe space, a home plate. And you, and I'm talking about me here, that's what I was to this man. I was a safe home plate, right? Because I don't go out. I don't go to bars very often. I don't go to parties. I don't have friends. And I don't socialize much. And I stay to myself. And so therefore, there's some kind of a safety net that I had created subconsciously or involuntarily for this man to feel that he could just use me like a doormat whenever he needed something. Like a maid, like a live-in unpaid helper, maid, slave, cook, nanny. Can you be my mommy for a day? Can you be my babysitter or my cut? There's a lot of, and with people who have when you're involved with a person who has a large family, a large extended family with a lot of sisters or brothers or cousins or aunts, and it's a large family where they're all very close and maybe living together, a lot of them, in a lot of family members in one house. These people keep a lot of secrets amongst themselves, right? And whenever this person clearly this man, Mr. Valdez Lewis, I suspect that because I'm not Hispanic, I'm not Mexican, or I'm not Hispanic or Chicana, whatever. I'm Caucasian, and I'm proud of it. I like who I am, and I speak fluent Spanish and all that, but I'm not Mexican American, or I'm not whatever. So therefore, he didn't want to bring me around his family because I'm not a Mexican, right? And he was already aware that they're going to judge him, or that they're going to ask questions, and they're not going to like me. Probably it would be, but that's not the only reason they don't bring you to meet their family after a certain amount of time, or 3 years, because, but notice how they'll get involved with somebody else, right? And in this case, he was with some other woman, this Latina, for I don't know how long. They supposedly since August of 2025, his girlfriend, his fiance, or maybe they're married, whatever. I don't fucking know. But nonetheless, look at how quickly they put on social media all the pictures of themselves together, and look at my, the love of my life. And, and then somebody asked, like his family member, his aunt, so when is the wedding, cuz? Whenever she says yes, cuz. Whenever she says yes. And he expected me to just be loyal after finding that out about how he betrayed me and lied to me, completely having a fiance, that I'm just supposed to be like, oh, no problem, Lewis. But now you tell me that you love me and you care about me, and let's go here. And all of a sudden he wants to go to India. Yeah, I used to go to Indian and Pakistani vegetarian restaurants all the time, especially when I lived in Houston. And now all of a sudden it's like he's trying to like do things that I like to do, or it's like he wants to all of a sudden try to get it doesn't really add up, does it? I mean, it's like, okay, that's fine that he likes that kind of food, good, but why all of a sudden now is he treating me like I'm once again his main supply, but see, that's temporary. It's temporary, and it's not, and that's fake. So that's what I'm trying to get through and I do understand this. I'm just trying to, I have to validate myself by making these videos, because it's very toxic. What they do is very calculated, strategic, and mean. It's evil. It's evil, because a person who really cares about you is never going to do those kinds of things to you. Why would they do that to somebody? If you genuinely care about somebody, you're going to be honest with them and transparent with, especially your partner or someone you're intimate with. You don't do that kind of stuff to somebody. I've lost respect for him. I don't care if he's lost respect for me. I know that I don't have any respect for him, and I have zero trust in him and zero confidence. And once that is gone from a relationship, there's nothing, what's left? The foundation is destroyed. The foundation is crumbled. There's nothing left of any substance that you can build from now, because once the trust is already eroded, there's really not much else that you can do in trying to rebuild something after it's already destroyed to that point. It's one thing to work on something that maybe has a little bit of flaws or some mishaps, but whenever it's gone that far, when they've lied to you and deceived you to that extent and probably tried to steal your identity, your money, and other kinds of shady crap that these people do, that's it. You've got to know that there comes a time when you have to draw a line for your own sanity, for your own survival, and your own well-being. Let them go on and let them move on and let them go find their new supply, or happy with their whatever, but you don't want to be part of it. I realize now that I don't want to be part of his life. I don't want to know what he's doing. I had to find out for myself so I could validate what I was thinking. That's why I looked into his Facebook after a couple years of not looking, because after he defriended me after a month of knowing me, begging to friend me on Facebook, so he could find all my friends and connections and probably hack into my Facebook and get, a hold of all my friend or whatever connections so he could ruin my life. But then he defriended me like that. I was so hurt by that several years ago, almost 3 years, almost 3 years ago, whenever that, like more than 2.5 years ago when he did that to me. I was like, what the fuck did he do that for? Why would he want to go so far as to pursuing me so much on the fucking Plenty of Fish and begging to get to know me and begging to be a part of my life and then begging me to accept his friend on Facebook requests, and then after less than a month he defriends me out of the blue for no reason. Why? The question is why? That right there, I already realized that he had already betrayed me and discarded me within a few months of that relationship, that situationship of which he was getting fucking paid to do this during that probate stuff, okay? So he had an ulterior motive, and I was trying to put myself in denial of the fact that this guy had a fucking agenda that was sexually exploitative of me as well as monetary. That's what he was all about, and that's what he's still all about, and it's not going to change. And I saw that, and I knew that. I knew that after the first month. Actually, before then, I even knew that. I was just putting it to the test. But see, right there, that whole Facebook thing, I was very hurt by that. Back then, now I don't give a shit. At that stage in my life, I was hurt by that he did that, and I really let it get to me. I was very offended by the fact that he did that, and I had not made any videos at all. By the way, I had never mentioned him in any fucking YouTube videos prior to that. Nothing. But he had done that. Okay, fine. You did that, so whatever the fuck. I don't even think I was making YouTube videos, but never mentioned him. But then after all that shit started to happen and I started to watch his personality change and the way he was treating me like a doormat and exploiting me and lying to me and making fun of me and mocking me, my appearance and all that, I was like, who is this guy? He's so fucking narcissistic and mean and abusive. And I was like, what am I doing even letting him in my house? What's wrong with me is what I was asking myself, is what kind of a toxicity spell is this man trying to put on me, because I can see through the lies and the bullshit mask. He's fake. He's a narcissist. I knew this. And then I started making videos about it, and then I blocked him on Facebook. Well, way back then I blocked him on Facebook over 2.5 years ago. And then, like I said, about a couple months ago, a month and a half ago, is when I unblocked him for the first time on Facebook after that amount of time and found out for myself that indeed he was living a double life. He had changed all his fucking Facebook profile with this new woman he's with, his girlfriend, and completely I was like, wow. I mean, I was like, I can't believe that I was that stupid or that gullible or that whatever, even though my intuition knew all along that he was with someone else and something was going on. Why was I ignoring my instincts? Why did I not look at his Facebook much earlier? Why didn't I do that? I'm asking myself, if I would have done that months ago, I probably would have saved myself a lot of fucking time and energy and money, because these people drain you financially and mentally and physically and emotionally. If I would have just listened to really gone with my intuition, I never would have allowed him back into my house. I never would have allowed him in my space, my territory, my boundaries. But that's what happens, and that's what I figured out. And so Facebook is a good example of how relationships get destroyed. Marriages, relationships, whatever. Facebook, okay? And if you really want to know somebody, you better look find about their social media, right? And if they're keeping secrets on social media as far as having, they don't want you to know about their Facebook, or they don't want you to see their friend list if you're involved with somebody who you're intimate with, and they keep their friend list a secret from you, and they don't, that right there is the biggest red flag right there. And you shouldn't, I will never ignore these kinds of things again from anybody, because it's all going to be there on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, whatever it is, maybe YouTube. It's going to be right there. It's going to be right there for you so that they're already revealing who they are. And you can save yourself a lot of energy and time and effort and money wasted away on these people that don't deserve your energy or time or attention or anything. Save yourself the energy and time and investigate them. Investigate their Facebook. Investigate who they are. See if they have a criminal background. See if they have maybe they've been to jail. Maybe they have some DWIs. Maybe they're a pedophile. Maybe they have domestic violence, something. There could be something that they're hiding that they've paid an attorney to erase records or something or whatever. But you need to ask around. I would suggest that you ask some people who know them, and I'm not saying go to their job, talk to their coworkers, but if you're really, really serious about somebody and this person is really then maybe you should do these things. Maybe you should go to their job and talk to their, just casually, ask something, because you don't know who the hell these people, I don't know who the hell this man really is, except what I do know is that my intuition was warning me that something's wrong and that he very well could be involved with some things of which are very maybe drug-related, sex trafficking, human trafficking, something that I don't involve myself with, that I don't do, and that I don't want to get involved with. And if you know these things, that these people are involved with those kinds of things where they kill people, or maybe they take advantage of women, maybe they're into pornography, maybe they do some weird dark web shit where they film people without their consent sexually, things like this. These people do weird things. They do some pretty strange, perverted things, a lot of these people. And you need to you watch out, because they could look good, they could talk the talk, walk the walk, wear the fancy suit or the clothes or the cologne and the jewelry, drive a nice car, come from a decent family, but you don't know who they really are. And you don't want to, and I just know what I know, and I don't want to know anymore. Because but shame on me, foolish me. I don't want to know now. I know what I know, and I know that my intuition was correct, and I'm not going to let this person gaslight me any more than he already did to try to destroy me, or get other people in the whole community to fucking gaslight me, and gang stalk me, and smear campaign me, and mock me at the fucking gym, because he's involved with these people. My own family, they're all involved with it. Yes, they are, and I know that. They can't fool me. They cannot try to act like I don't see what they're doing to me, to try to discredit me so that I don't get what I was supposed to get financially, which is an inheritance and other things that these people tried to fucking steal, and using my signature, using forged documents under duress so that they could fucking steal my identity and my money. Okay? Yeah, and that's exactly what they do, and that's what people do all the time, every fucking day, all over the place.